everybody. Happy New Year.
Hey, everybody.
Kathy and I here, ringing in the new year with all of you. We'll give everybody a second to jump on. It looks like there's still a few joining us. But yeah, we're just going to share a little bit about our holidays. I was telling Kathy just now, it feels like that was already so long ago, but we haven't all been together since before Christmas. So I thought we would just show a few little pictures of what we were up to during Christmas and New Year's. So the first little picture my sister-in-law took for all of us at my family's cabin. And this was, the cabin was like in danger of getting burned down for the creek fire back in October. So just to be up there this holiday and to just breathe in the fresh air and have it still standing was just so delightful and so amazing that it was there. So we went up for a couple weekends in December, and I'm just really thankful that we had that during this whole crazy year last year too, to just get away and escape a little bit. And then our other moment that we had was Linnell broke her collarbone like 4 days before Christmas. So that was super interesting and awful, and she rebounded like 2 days later. I had a friend say, "Oh, she'll be fine in a couple of days. She'll be back to normal." I'm like, a couple of days? That's not normal. That's not good. But she's back to her spunky self, and we go in next week for her little X-ray to see how she's doing. So eventful week, Christmas at home. Our parents came over and hung out with us. We usually go see them, so it was all good. Yeah, she's doing much better. And then Christina's not with us today. She's taken it from home, Mops at Home. So I was going to share her pictures. These are her beautiful girls. Let me pull up her notes here, what she had. So a happy memory she had is 2 of her daughters have December birthdays. So Katie turned 14. She's the one with the glasses. She turned 14 this month. And then Emma turned 9 on Christmas Eve, which is little crazy because when I met Christina, Emma was like a little baby. And then their picture here is from the Foster City Parks and Rec Christmas light walkthrough display that they did. So that was really fun that they did as a family. And then they're holding up gift cards. Christina said her sweet grandma, who's 84, never forgets a holiday or a birthday and sends them little gifts. So that is from her sweet grandma, who I saw a picture of over Christmas break, and she looks like a firecracker. I want to meet her for sure when all this COVID stuff is done.
And is she the one that had COVID too?
She did. She's good. Oh, Grandma did good. So we love her. We love her. We're happy she's still here. Here you go, Kath. You can share about your little family pictures. Ooh, maybe I'll move so you can see those yummy breadsticks.
Okay. Well, the one on top is actually at Thanksgiving at our cabin, which, much like Caitlin's, almost burned down, but in another fire.
Yeah, all the fires this year. Come on.
The CZU complex fire near Santa Cruz. And we had a great time. Our daughter from New York came home for a couple of months, and we baked the bread on the lower right is some Swedish cardamom bread that I must say was darn good. And we had a lot of fun baking. And then that is my husband and I, Ron, on the bottom left on eucalyptus, which I had never been to.
Done.
I lead a very sheltered life, but we ended up going there twice.
Yeah,
so that was really fun during Christmas. So those are some of my highlights.
Good. Now, we didn't do eucalyptus this year. I don't know. Just we couldn't put Linnell in the car because of her collarbones. I'm like, whatever. This year's already washed anyways. Throw it out. We don't need traditions. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, that was just a little bit about our holidays. If you want to share a favorite memory in the comments or share with your group today for discussion, we would love to hear what was good about your holidays. And then we're just going to open it up with a question. Kind of the new year leads to reflection of the previous year. So we'd love to know what as one thing about yourself that you are proud of from last year. And I want this to be about yourself. I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm proud of my kids for this or your family as a whole, but what are you proud about yourself of something that either you accomplished or did in 2020? Maybe you're just really happy that you joined MOPS and stuck it out through all the craziness. Maybe you learned a new hobby, you baked some bread. I don't know. I for sure did not try the sourdough, but I'm wishing I had some sourdough bread like everybody was baking. And maybe you were just happy to survive and that you're just happy that you made it at home the whole year. So share in the chat with us. And Kath, do you want to share what you're proud of first, and then I'll share my little thing?
Sure. I was going to say one of the things is that Ron and I decided we really missed our kids. And so probably at least once a week, pretty regularly up until now, we had a happy hour at about 5 o'clock our time, 8 o'clock New York time. And we Zoomed or FaceTimed and had crackers and a beverage and whatever else. And it was a great time to do together. And I'm just kind of proud of surviving. You know,
Yes.
Here it is, January 14th, 2021, and we're both here.
Yeah, we're both here. Both
I'm
surviving.
glad for that.
That's so good. I was proud of myself. I mean, it's like kind of a brag moment for everybody, so you can just brag in the comments. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I read 31 books last year, and the previous year, I know 31. The previous
Like
year,
Dr. Seuss or
no,
something?
yeah, Dr. Seuss and Brown Bear, Brown Bear. The previous year I had read 3 books, and I felt very like proud of that. And I was like, you know what? This is just the year. Like
She
all
has
my
3
shows,
kids under 5, so
Yeah.
you're all right.
3 kids under 5. All the shows were off. I mean, there was no sports. We're a big sports household, so there's always like football or basketball or baseball or something on. So I just figured like, oh, might as well just read at night instead of scrolling on Instagram, which I also did a good portion of. But it was just nice. It was just fun to read fiction books and not like have to
Great.
think about things and just sit there and read. So if you need any good recommendations, hit me up. I did a lot on my Kindle too because the libraries weren't open, which I never liked. I never liked not holding a book, but I was
Yeah.
very happy. You just when you're done with it, you just return it and get a new one, and it was so simple. So
good.
that was my fun thing for 2020, whatever year that was last year. So
year
put
was
in the
that?
comments what you were proud of.
Yeah.
It looks like Sai started reading more books this year. I know Erin's a big avid reader too. Christina said she's proud of her husband and her. That they made it work through the COVID craziness. It made our marriage stronger. That's awesome. I know. Definitely either was a marriage tester or a marriage strengthener last year.
Yeah.
I think I had a little bit of both for those.
Yeah.
So keep sharing down there about what was good for you. And right now we're going to transition into Kathy, just sharing a little encouragement and devotional for us. So I'm just going to put you there on the screen, Kath, and disappear over here and let you take it away.
Okay, you guys. I wanted you to know that I've really been thinking about you. And I was able to have a sabbatical for about a month and a half for about half of November and into December. And you guys are my favorites. I really think about you all the time, pray for you a lot, and we've got this mama bond going on. And as I've been thinking about you, I've been thinking that one of these days we're actually going to be able to look back on 2020 and have 2020 vision. And hopefully we'll remember sometimes that we got to be closer with our families, that we appreciated simple pleasures like taking bike rides or going on a drive or something together. And we'll remember, as well as the hard times and the pain, we'll remember some of the silver linings too. And I look forward to that day. And some of your littles aren't even going to remember this, hardly. But many of them will. And for right now, we're just smack dab in the middle of the middle. When we're thinking, when is this all going to end already? And the middle place is tough. In feeling like your endurance is running out, like how am I ever going to be able to keep doing this distance learning thing? How can I keep going without seeing too many friends or family? How can I just keep on going day after day in the midst of all of the layers that are going on in our world right now, from the pandemic to the political craziness and upheaval to continued racial strife? I think we've got to give each other some grace in that there is so much going on as we try to make it through every day. And I think I just felt like I wanted to tell you, mama to mama, that what you are doing right now, this very moment, matters. It really, really matters. And it probably doesn't feel like it matters right now, but it does. What you're doing really matters. And I think I also want to tell you, mama to mama, or maybe remind you that what happens at home really truly matters. Every talk that you have with one of your kids before bed, the hugs that you give, the love that you demonstrate day after day, even the discipline and the correction that you have to do with them matters. The self-care that you allow yourself to have so that you can take care of you and have a little more gas in your tank matters. The example that you set matters, because really, kids, a lot more is caught than it is taught by just watching you. It all matters. And I was thinking too that you guys, you moms, are like these quiet, revolutionary world changers. And you are probably rolling your eyes right now. I get that. But I challenge you really to show me any great leader, any responsible adult who is loving and kind to others in their sphere of influence, and I will show you one heck of a mom. You quiet, revolutionary world changers, you. Right, Kate?
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah. And because I'm a church lady, I want to let you know that the church is important for sure, for support, but it's never, ever more important than you. And at this age, and with kids that are now almost 26 and 28, I have the gift of some hindsight. And I'm still so much their mama. I talk to them every day. Honestly, I worry about them many times every day. But I want to tell you that many of the kids that they grew up with at church and that are still committed to their faith now and their relationship with Jesus are the ones whose home life was really rich in real, authentic faith. And the church is really meant to be a great partner to you, but please remember that what happens at home is and always will be the most important. I was thinking that maybe one of the things you need right now more than anything is for some comfort and for some affirmation. At least I know that I do, like every single day. And when I think of comfort, a lot of times I think of like being soothed and just feeling like my problems and burdens are like lifted from me. But it even means more. And I just wanted to read you a couple verses from 2 Corinthians 1. And to many of you, it might be familiar, but hopefully it'll encourage you. It says, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all of our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. For just as we share abundantly in the sufferings of Christ, so also our comfort abounds through Christ." And I was thinking and noticed too, when I was studying about this, that comfort actually means a little bit more than they're there. It also, a comforter is an advocate. And an advocate, if you really think about it, is one that comes to stand beside us, to champion our cause, who encourages us and strengthens us and comforts us. It's someone who comes to stand beside us in our time of need, whenever that is and however often that is. And it's someone that takes up our cause and then doesn't leave, but stays around to encourage, strengthen, and comfort us. And I think the Apostle Paul is saying here that God's presence and his overflowing strength are enough for whatever we need when we're going through uncertain times like right now. There's absolutely no hurt, no wound, no pressure or trouble that can come into our lives that God is not totally adequate and enough for. God sends and allows trouble and hurt and sometimes insecurity in our lives so that, and only so that, we can experience His very personal comfort. He wants us to know and experience that He's enough. And I can't do it for you. Kate can't do it for you. Your husband can't do it for you. Each of us has to allow God to enter into our hurts and trouble, and then we'll be able to know and experience that He's enough. So in light of that, you guys, I just want you to keep in your mind and in your heart that it's important that we encourage one another in this time of not being able to see one another that much in person. We can still text, we can still make phone calls, we can still say, hey, how are you doing? We can pray for each other and check up on each other. So let's do it. We need each other in this middle place. So I just want to leave you with a couple thoughts, and maybe you can remember this when we get to our discussion time afterwards. But two things. One, where can you receive God's comfort for you today? And then two, who can I extend God's comfort to today? Where do I need God's comfort today, and who can I extend His comfort to? I love you. I believe in you. You are quiet, revolutionary world changers. Hang in there, you guys. Love you. Bye.
That was so good. I'm just like writing down all my little notes on my thing. I'm like, oh, what am I going to share as my top favorite thing Kathy said? Because I just wrote it all down. But the quiet revolutionary world changer, that's such like a good description of what you're doing in your home.
Yeah.
Because all the conversations and everything you're having with your children and the comfort you're extending. I saw April put on there that she wants to extend that type of comfort to her kids, and she loved the definitions. And I agree. Like, I want that to be kind of how my kids feel at home. I feel like my husband is really good at that kind of comfort, but I am not. And I'm also not good at receiving God's comfort, which I realize that's what I was missing last year, is that I just kept trying to plow through everything that was happening. Because I can do it, but I needed His comfort too. So that was
Take some pauses.
Yeah, some pauses.
Take some holy pauses from time to time.
Yes. So transitioning to our video for the day. Let's see if I can get it on the right screen here. I'll put both of us on there. There we go. We are going to do a video from MOPS International, and it is called Be Strong, Tools for Building Mental Stamina. And we just felt like this was such a good way to kick off the year. Mental stamina is something that we need and are probably going to continue to need for a little while longer. So the speaker that they have from MOPS International, her name is Toni Greco, and she is a licensed professional counselor and a MOPS mama. She knows our beliefs fuel our behavior and attitude. She helps us understand that one of the marks of mental strength is to live as if our worth isn't on the line at every moment. This will help us find self-acceptance at every stage of life. So I'm going to transition to that video, and then we will come back at the end to do a few announcements before we break out to our groups.
Okay.
From navigating mom guilt to trying to figure out how to be vulnerable, but not so vulnerable that you scare people off, Toni Greco is here to help us build mental stamina while simultaneously letting ourselves off the hook from that elusive search for perfection. In the video you're about to see, Toni shares 5 super helpful tools for building mental strength, and even includes a few book recommendations for anyone wanting to take the conversation to the next level. Without further ado, here's Toni Greco.
My name is Toni Greco, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and a fellow MOPS mama. This is my 3rd year of MOPS, and already I am incredibly thankful for the wisdom, support, and community that this has brought to my life. Whether you are a first-time mama or a seasoned vet, there is value in coming alongside those who share like-minded goals. A focus for this year at MOPS is be strong. I wonder what that phrase evokes in you. I could talk about this subject for hours, but since we don't have endless time, let me share with you my perspective about being strong. To me, strength can look like a lot of different things. It can look like navigating life and relationships well, being able to increase your weight limit at the gym, or allowing yourself to acknowledge an area of your life that you're struggling with. See, strength is more than being tough. It's about finding the courage to reach out and get support in times of need. In my experience, the most valuable aspect of strength comes from our ability to be vulnerable. To be vulnerable about who we are and allow that to be exposed to the people we trust. Vulnerability has been a hot topic over the last few years, and for good reason. It is the hallmark to intimacy in relationships, and more importantly, intimacy with your true self. Now that sounds like a really big concept, so I want to break this down so that we can see how strength is truly its foundation. As a therapist, I hold firmly to the mindset that our beliefs fuel our behavior and attitude. Another way to say this is, what we think directs our steps. I have seen this many times in my practice and personal life. When much of our focus is on the negative, the world around us generally begins to reflect that. Our attitude about work, feeling extra stressed with our kids, communication breakdowns in our marriages, and the list goes on. But if we point our thoughts to a more balanced perspective, life begins to become more manageable, and the concept of hope begins to grow. Did you catch that there? I said balanced, because life is not always fun and enjoyable. But having balance in our perspective allows us to manage the expectations that we have of others and the expectations that we place on ourselves. Here's an example of a negative thought. I shouldn't feel anxious about my son starting preschool. Other moms don't have a hard time with this. Here's how we can shift this to a more balanced thought. It's okay for me to be anxious. This is the first time we're experiencing this change. Asking other moms for perspective and tips could help me normalize my anxiety and help me feel more secure with this decision. This goes beyond just healthy self-care, which is valuable in and of itself. This speaks to the thoughts that keep you stuck with negative self-esteem, mom guilt, and the pressure to be perfect. This time of motherhood is full of highs and lows. It is really challenging to raise a human being. And sometimes we feel like super moms, and sometimes we feel like complete failures. But ask yourself, what does it mean to be a good mom? A good role model for our kids? Whose definition of motherhood are you comparing yourself to? It is so easy to get lost in the minute details of this parenting gig, when all of the while our kids are truly desiring us to just be present with them and set the example for how to handle life. It's kind of ironic if you think about it. We're spending more time worried about if we're doing a good job than simply being present with our kids, which is really all they want. If we focus on all the things we didn't get done today and the way we didn't show up for our kids, then our ability to show them grace is compromised. When our ability to be present is weakened, we'll begin to see that our joy is stolen and our self-worth declines. This is where our old friend self-judgment comes to pull us away from what is true about us. The common saying is comparison is the thief of joy. And while I 100% agree that that is true, I believe self-judgment is comparison's co-pilot. Judging yourself for having negative thoughts, for struggling with anxiety or depression, for not being the mom you thought you were, keeps you stuck. It's valuable to acknowledge what we're thinking about, but it does not need to define us. And this is a huge difference. If our thought is simply a thought, then we have options to move in a direction of healing. If a thought has the power to define us, then we have walked ourselves right into quicksand. An example could be, I know I shouldn't be anxious, but there are so many things I'm worried about. Or I know it's dumb, but I don't feel like I'm adding any value to my life and my family, and so on. Do you hear the judgment in any of these? Here's how you can acknowledge a thought without attaching judgment to it. I seem to be feeling really anxious about these upcoming changes in my life. Maybe talking to my husband can relieve some of the burden and help me refocus on what I can control right now. We acknowledge the feeling of anxiety and developed a strategy on how to manage it rather than deciding that we're just an anxious person and there isn't anything that we can do about it. Maybe you're dealing with anxiety or depression and feel like you can't keep your head above water. Maybe you're struggling with trying to juggle it all and realizing giving 20% to everything isn't bringing you fulfillment in your life. Maybe you only have one kid and struggle with managing time and feel like you're failing as a mom while other moms around you seem to be doing just fine with more on their plate. Whatever the situation is, whatever the comparison is, whatever the negative self-talk is about, don't be afraid to ask for help. We need perspective outside of ourselves to get a grasp on life and not be tossed around by it. Look at the women next to you. There is absolutely someone who has been, currently is, or will be in a situation like yours and can offer support and guidance and companionship. This is valuable. When we choose to open ourselves to vulnerability, we welcome the opportunity to not be alone and spiral in shame. This choice of vulnerability takes great strength and courage. I believe it's always better to have a plan for battling the difficulties in our life. We have to know how to use our weapons before we enter into the fight. To practice mental toughness, we must first learn what the tools are that we have and how they can serve us. Having a plan doesn't mean that we're planning and expecting the worst to happen. It's more about knowing ourselves and the areas that tend to be footholds of struggle for us, and learning what we need to help equip us for success. Ask yourself this: who is a good resource for you in times of great struggle? What practical things do you need to reset and realign your mind to start fresh? What are the red flags that things are going down a very difficult path? I encourage you to write these out so they're clear for you to develop. This is unique to everyone and can be very simple. It is always best to practice using your tools when you are not in crisis, so you're familiar with them before crisis hits. The idea is this: coming to a sword fight without ever wielding your sword doesn't set you up for victory. Sometimes our greatest tool will be telling someone that we need help. Take down these 5 reminders for maintaining mental strength. Number 1, drop the shoulds, must, and have tos. These leave you with no option but failure if you don't measure up. Number 2, the airplane. Secure your mask first before assisting your child. Find what you need to be healthy so that you can be there for yourself and for your family. Number 3, for every negative thought, replace it with a balanced one. Number 4, have grace on yourself. And number 5, let go of perfection. My challenge to you is to practice believing that your worth and value began long before you were a mama. Yes, this takes practice. Tapping into your value and worth as a person and a woman can be a life-changing experience. If we acknowledge our value, then we're able to face adversity in our marriages, with our kids, and in society with more strength and peace of mind. It takes vulnerability to start connecting to your value and your worth. Here is a mark of mental strength: to live as if our worth isn't on the line every moment. I hope that you can begin to find self-acceptance at whatever stage of life you're in. Here are some really great books that I have found to speak to many areas of mental toughness and how to find your value and worth living in the day-to-day. Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, Anxious for Nothing by Max Lucado, and The Gift of Being Yourself by David Benner. I hope that you can begin to understand what strength looks like for you. As you connect more to your value and worth, see how that changes your willingness to reach out and ask for help. We can choose to compare our ever-changing feelings, thoughts, and perspective to something that is unchanging, the truth. It is simplistic, but powerful. And here is the truth. You are worthy, you are enough, you are lovable, and no one can take value from you, not in what they say or what they do. And it's okay to need people. Be honest with yourself. Allow vulnerability to guide you and anchor yourself to these truths. And that is what true strength looks like.
That's good. I'm gonna have to listen to that one more time. I didn't catch all the references at the end.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a fire hose, but hey, we can remind each other.
That was good. But I liked one thing she said was acknowledge what you are thinking about, but don't let that define you. I have a hard time if I'm in like a negative headspace or in a bad mood, just letting that kind of run the day or run the week or run the year like last year.
Yeah.
And so acknowledging that you have a feeling, but not letting it define you as a person, I feel like was a really great connection made. Your mic's still muted. Hi, Mike. Oh, sorry, you guys. My mic was muted that whole time. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. They're probably telling me in the comments and I didn't see. I can rephrase it really fast, though.
Okay,
I like
you do it.
What she said about acknowledge what we are thinking about, but not letting that define us. I was saying that I get in a negative headspace where I will either be in a bad mood or just feeling one way, and I'll let that run the day or the week or the year, like last year. And so I like not attaching judgment to that, just acknowledging that you're feeling a certain way, but not letting that define who you are as a person. So that was really a good connection made for me. But that is pretty much wrapping up our discussion and our time together today. I just have a couple of announcements that I will put on here. Here we go. Our next gathering is 1/28. That is crazy to see that we will basically be done with January pretty soon. And the topic is just to be determined. We're throwing around a few ideas and haven't solidified what the perfect topic will be for the end of January. And then just check your emails for some fun mom's night in or day in type activities. If you have any good ideas of what you'd like us to do, or if you want to host one yourself, please let us know. We'd love that. A special thanks to April. She threw one together for last week. Everybody just came and brought the crafts that they were doing. So either quilting or embroidery, painting. She even said, just fold your laundry with us, just be with us. So I heard that was a really fun time for the ladies that could make it. So we met as a steering team on Monday over Zoom and kind of discussed some other fun options that we have for the rest of the year. So if you have anything that you'd like us to do, let us know, and we will try to make that happen before the end of our MOPS season. So with that, enjoy being with your Zoom discussion groups today. We hope you have some great conversation around the video, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.